Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
Good morning.
Chris Carr's here.
Hello.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day, and here's how the day's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to ask, and as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, you can send it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the great thing about this tip link, is that while you can send it in right now while we're live, and we'll get to in the second part of the show, if you happen to be listening to this show on our podcast feed, either on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day when we're not actually live, you can still use this tip link, send in a question, and as long as it's appropriate, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. That down, we got a bunch of things that we got to get to here today. And the first thing we're going to start off with this. Shocking, unexpected, completely out of left field, comes news that what? Blade has been delayed again, officially, and maybe not even delayed, maybe just plain old axed. As just a short time ago this morning, Variety has reported that Marvel's Blade has now officially been removed from the release calendar. Now, this is, of course, no surprise because we've been talking, it's been scheduled to come out on November 7th, 2025, which is just a little over a year from now.
Yeah.
As far as we know, they don't even have a script. And we said on the show like a couple months ago, I don't think there's any way, even if they wanted to do November 7th, which I'm questioning, I don't even think they could have anyway. But here it is from Variety. They say this. The Daywalker will have to wait a bit longer to have his time in the sun. Marvel Studios has removed its reboot of Blade, starring Mahershala Ali as the titular half-vampire, from the release calendar. It was dated for November 7th, 2025. Meanwhile, Marvel added 3 untitled projects to the schedule for February 18th, 2028, May 5th, 2028, and November 10th, 2028. We can talk about and speculate what those might be some other time. The comic book empire's decision to take Blade off the docket was widely expected after Disney CEO Bob Iger stated in an earnings call on May 7th that Marvel will release, quote-unquote, a maximum of 3 movies a year. Of the 4 superhero films Disney previously had slated for 2025, including Captain America, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four, Blade is the project furthest from starting production. If by not having a script, you mean far from production.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Look, let's not pretend anybody is surprised, quel surprise, that this is happening. It's just the next punchline of a long-running joke that is Blade. It was back 5 years ago, in 2019, that Kevin Feige on stage, I believe it was Comic-Con, said, oh, and one more thing. Mahershala Ali is Blade, and Mahershala Ali comes strutting out, looking as cool as a 2-time Oscar winner looks.
Two-time.
Came walking out, looking all slick, Blade hat, like everybody freaked out. We all freaked out. Now, that movie was supposed to be released in 2023. It was supposed to come out in 2023. And then 2024, now 2025, now maybe 2026. It's been 5 years, guys. It's been 5 years. And I think we just have to say at this point, this movie is not going to happen. Now, the only thing that I can see, the only path forward I see here is maybe they changed strategies and decided to pull a Black Panther, and instead of introducing Blade straight up in his own movie, and you say, but John, at the end of the Turtles, you heard a voice off camera. I'm not going to count that as introducing
I thought you said the Turtles, and I'm like, he was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I thought it was just Daredevil, the crossover. No.
Yes, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. No, I mean, I'm not going to count Eternals as the first appearance. It was some, disembodied voice off camera. But maybe they decided to pull a Black Panther where, remember, they introduced Black Panther in Captain America Civil War. And maybe they said, you know what? We're getting so close to the Avengers films. Maybe we just work in Blade there. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. But Chris, right now, it's been 5 years.
So
We
goes the
even
song.
said at the time, because how old is Mahershala Ali now?
He's in his 50s now,
Yeah.
isn't he?
No.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they first announced him,
He's
I said,
definitely in his 50s.
two-time Academy
Yeah, he's
Award.
50.
He's 50 now.
Mhm.
I said, two-time Academy Award winner, love Mahershala Ali, he's awesome. But, you know, is he a bit on the older side to start a new franchise? I mean, he's not too old to play Blade, but is he too old to start playing Blade? A Blade, you know, they would probably want to have around for 10 years, right?
Mhm.
Well, that was when he was 45. He's now 50, which means even in the best case scenario, even if they started rolling cameras today, Mahershala Ali will be walking the red carpet of a Blade premiere when he's 53. Can you start there? I mean, I don't know. Am I being, overly pessimistic at this point when I say I just don't think this Mahershala Ali iteration of Blade is even going to happen at this point? What do you think?
I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, canonically, Blade is around 70 and just appears to be 30 or 40.
Sure.
And, you know,
actually, so does Mahershala
And Mahershala
Ali.
Ali, yeah, looks like he's in his 30s. So this is all feasible. But right now, this movie basically is a concept, right? This movie is as real as my Marvel movie as Squirrel Girl. It basically lives in the same place of, wouldn't that be nice? I feel so bad for Ray because I know he's so excited about this movie.
Oh,
but
my God.
There's just no way that this is going to, release by November 7th of next year. That's just not going to happen. So I'm glad they've taken it off here. But I also had a contact at Marvel who told me that this movie, for the most part, is probably going to be shelved. It just does not seem like they can come to any common ground on what should be done with it, how they should move forward with it. And so I think it's going to get scrapped, which, while sad, I would rather have no Blade movie than a crap Blade
Sure,
movie.
yeah.
I really want Marvel to continue focusing on their quality over quantity. And this is such a great character. I know sometimes in the chat we have some disagreements of like, there's no good Marvel Blade comics. Yes, there are. There's so many good Blade stories. I want them to do this really, really well, especially since this is Marvel diving further into the world of the supernatural. I want them to do it correctly. I want them to do like what they did with Wanda being full-on witch, what they've done with Agatha so far. I want it to be executed so well. So if it means that it's taken off the list for now, I'm happy about it. But man, I don't think this movie's going to happen with Mahershala, and that is the most disappointing thing.
It's funny too because a couple years ago, or getting close to a couple years ago now, at the Video Game Awards, they rolled out the Blade video game trailer.
Oh yeah, that's going to happen before this movie.
I know, and that
It
was a
looked
long
good.
It looks so good. I'm so
Yeah.
glad it's only on Xbox.
Yeah, the preview they showed us was good, and you kind of thought, at least I did at the time, was that they're going to parlay and build off the momentum one off the other. They're going to try to, sync up when a Blade movie comes out with the Blade video game, even though the two were not connected.
Yeah.
Right.
It seemed like it would make sense, but
It's actually supposed to be the Wesley Snipes world that the game takes place in.
That's fun.
really,
Mm-hmm.
see, I didn't know that. But again, it would have been perfect synergy to roll out a movie. And, way back in the day, when they were going to do Ant-Man with the director of Shaun of the Dead.
Oh,
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
Way back in the day when they were going to do Ant-Man with Edgar Wright, and then that never actually ended up happening. They transitioned over to Peyton Reed, who did a great job
Yes.
on the first Ant-Man, by the way. This is really the biggest embarrassment to Marvel. A studio that has been able to roll out their projects and all that kind of stuff, but this, 5 years, still talking about it and all this kind of stuff. And the fact that they just very quietly removed it from their schedule in the first place is a shame. Look, I'm not sitting here saying definitively the movie isn't going to happen. I'm just saying, as a fan sitting here, it just doesn't feel like, it feels like they've waved the white flag. It feels like they're giving up, but we'll see. The question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Marvel has now done what we all expected because the clock was getting late. They were never going to make the November 7th date at this point, but they have now taken it off the release schedule. Do you think this movie's ever going to happen at all with Mahershala Ali? Maybe they're just now, look, we blew it. We'll give it 3 or 4 years and we'll try it with another. I don't know. What do you think is going to happen here? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. thoughts? All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Christopher Nolan has a new film that he's got coming out, and it's already got a release date. It's like June or July of 2026, which means this thing's almost ready to go into production.
Mm-hmm.
And now we already know that it's going to have Matt Damon, who, of course, was in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer film. So Chris likes to work with actors that he's worked with before. Mm-hmm. And now we've got another star. As the Holland Reporter has now put out that Tom Holland, Spider-Man, is going to star in Christopher Nolan's latest film. Matt Damon is already on the call sheet for the top secret feature that Universal will open in 2026. The
Won't
story
be secret for long now.
What's that?
Won't be secret for long now.
No.
We're going to find
That
out
plot's
real
getting
quick from
spoiled.
Tom.
Yeah, Tom does not historically keep secrets well. Tom Holland will star in Christopher Nolan's latest feature, joining Matt Damon at the top of the secret venture. Nolan wrote the script and is directing the project, which Universal Pictures will distribute. The studio has already set a release date of July 17th, 2026. That means less than 2 years from now, this movie's already going to be in theaters. It's going to beat Blade to theaters. Anyway, plot details are being kept under wraps, but sources say the setting is not present day. Although it's unclear whether it's going to be set in the past or in the future, Nolan's producing alongside his producing partner and wife, Emma Thomas, for their Syncope banner.
I'm sorry. It's not set in present day, so it's either the past or the future. Yeah, those would be the options.
Nothing else. It's only those two
You're not
options.
thinking
some great
about
journalism.
You're not thinking about the fourth dimension.
Oh, shit. Oh, and see, now I'm foolish. All
It's in
right.
a parallel timeline,
Yeah.
but
Well,
not present
Fair,
day.
guys. Fair.
All right. My guess here
Very
is it's going to be in the
advanced
future. It seems to me that Christopher Nolan doesn't like to do two similar films back to back. Like, even when he's doing his Batman films, he would do a Batman film, then something else entirely. Then do another Batman film, then do something else entirely. Then do another Batman film, then do something else entirely. So my guess, and I have nothing to base this on other than that pattern, is it'll be something set historically. Here's the big story to me, though. This is a story about Tom Holland. Tom Holland, who I think it's fair to say most of us really love. I think he's wonderful. But he has not been able to break out in anything other than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because although he's taken on some good-looking projects, they always end up sucking ass.
Yep.
Sorry.
Was that a spit take? It's okay.
They just end up being terrible through no fault of his. His job is to show up and perform, and the stuff he's been in so far, through no fault of his own, has been terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so my fear, I've started to grow a little bit worried for Tom, because, he's got a wedding to plan and all this kind of stuff. I've been getting worried that he was going to become one of these guys that was Spider-Man and that was it. And to get to headline a Christopher Nolan film, that just takes it to the next level for him. And I really do hope, not that I want him to stop doing Spider-Man movies. I hope he has tons of other great success so he continues to do Spider-Man movies. I'm just saying, I hope this will finally open the door, because I think he's a fine actor. Again, even in the movies that I really dislike, you can just see he's got it. He has that quality. And if he can now piggyback on being in a Christopher Nolan film and to have other success from that to go along with his Spider-Man success, I think would be great. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this? What are your thoughts on this?
I'm so happy for him, because like you, I have been so frustrated by his career moves, because he's excellent,
Yeah.
but he's not in excellent projects. The Crowded Room is not a particularly good show by any means, but he acts his ass off in it, and he is just trying his best. Even in movies that flop, he does a really great job. Even in movies that have box office acclaim, but maybe not critical, like Uncharted, that was a case of, I just think you're miscast here. I just think this is not the Uncharted we want. He still delivers. He
And
still
what's the
does
one
a
he
great
did with
job.
Daisy Ridley?
Chaos.
Oh,
Walking Chaos.
That
I
had
believe
so
was.
much potential. Oh.
Cherry had potential. I mean,
Cherry had so much potential.
he's done so many movies that just miss the mark. And I think this ultimately is a testament to, hey, you are a very solid actor and we all see it. And if Christopher Nolan wants you to be playing against Matt Damon in one of his films, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
He's an excellent, excellent actor, and I'm really hoping that this leans more Oppenheimer than other Nolan films that haven't done as well. I hope that this is really excellent and that we see Tom really shine and finally have something that has critical acclaim, box office acclaim, etc., that isn't a Spider-Man film, because he's so gifted.
Yeah, and it would be just nice to be able to see him be able to have that success. Again, all the other projects, no fault of his, but we'll see how this turns out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Tom Holland is going to headline a Christopher Nolan film coming out in less than 2 years. How do you feel about it? Do you think this could be his big platform to be able to break beyond just being Spider-Man? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's talk some Penguin, shall we? Again, first thing got to mention about the Penguin, the numbers have just come out. Now, we talked about it last week, how the Penguin is doing what not a lot of shows get to do. That every single week, their viewership goes up and up and up and up. As word of mouth spreads, people get excited talking about the Penguin. This show is absolutely insane. I think it's the best show airing on television right now. And that's saying something because Shrinking is airing right now, and I love Shrinking. I think this is the best show airing on television right now. So here we go again. The numbers have come out this week, and again, the viewership has gone up again. Every episode's viewership has been bigger than the week before's. Speaking to two things: the quality of this damn show, and secondly, the power of week-to-week releases instead of dropping all of your episodes at once. That's just one thing. By the way, Tor is back, gifting 10 John Campea memberships.
Yeah, I just put out a tornado alert, so be careful, guys.
Thank you, Tor. Appreciate that, man. So, here's the other great thing. There was some talk about whether or not there would be a Penguin Season 2, because Colin Farrell kind of infamously said, I couldn't wait to be finished making it. He said, I was bitching and complaining to everybody who would listen about how miserable I was, and I could not wait to be done making this thing. Not because he didn't like the production. It's the process of getting in that penguin makeup. Mm-hmm. It's hours a day of just sitting there in a chair, hours to get into it, hours to get out, and then spit and repeat. You know, it's just endless. But he said, I mean, hey, but this show is incredible. It's insanely good and all that kind of stuff. Well, that left a lot of fans wondering if there could be a second one. But now Lauren LaFranc at the New York City Comic Con, the showrunner of Penguin, has for the first time actually even remotely addressed the potential of a season 2 for Penguin. This comes out from Superhero Hype, who wrote the following. Gotham is ripe. This is the showrunner speaking. Gotham is ripe to tell so many stories. The comics have shown that through the decades and decades. I love this version of Gotham too. I love all the characters that we've gotten to explore in this world. Stressing on the Penguin Season 2, the showrunner added, I think there is always room for more of that. If the story can be even better, absolutely. If the story can be even better, absolutely. Okay. This tells me, granted it's me playing interpreter, they absolutely have their eyes on doing a second season. And, you know, we speculate on this show before that when Colin Farrell came out and talked about the fact that it was miserable getting in and out of the costuming and he couldn't wait to be done, we all said, we get it, that's how you feel at the time. But as he's now a year removed from filming it, and now gets to sit at home and see the fruits of his labors and seeing how the viewership keeps getting higher and higher and how the audiences and idiots like me keep praising it and lauding it as like one of the best things on TV. But most importantly, when Emmy time comes around. Mm-hmm. When Emmy time comes around and Colin Farrell, and by the way, Milioti too.
Miliotti's so good.
Hear their names
Gosh,
mentioned
great.
when the acting nominations come out. I think he's going to feel very differently and far more positively about coming back for season 2. Look, one of the things that we know about Penguin is that we know, because it's been confirmed, that it leads into Batman 2. However and wherever this thing leads off, it will directly flow into the events of Batman 2. That tells me that Penguin is going to survive this thing. He's going to be around at the end. But will Sophia survive? I'm starting to think she doesn't. Will Maroney survive? I'm starting to think he doesn't. Will Vic survive? I'm starting to think he doesn't. But whatever that case, Chris, I'm sitting here today and I completely believe there will be a Penguin season 2. This show is just too good. And HBO has a habit of sometimes ignoring numbers and just saying, hey, if this show is like one of the best things out there, we'll just do another season.
Yeah.
But this thing has the numbers and it has the critical acclaim and all that kind of stuff. I think they're doing another one. What do you think about these two things? Number one, the fact that the ratings keep going up and they've gone up again. And number two, the fact that the showrunner is now for the first time kind of teasing the chances of a season 2. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think that a season 2 is kind of a no-brainer at this point for everybody. They're just probably going to back a dump truck of money up to Colin because he's excellent in this. And we talked about this before. The prosthetics are a real bitch to put on.
Yeah.
That it's really awful. And especially when you also have to put on a suit that changes your body, that's extra literal weight that you are carrying around that it doesn't make for the most comfy time on set. And you are in a chair for hours and hours and hours. I know that doesn't seem like a big deal to all of us sitting at home, but man,
until you've done it.
Once you've done prosthetics, I've done them, they are not comfortable. And it is a lot. And a lot of times too, your skin and everything gets pretty bad reactions to it. But this is such a great show. And I keep seeing over and over again, I can't believe the best show on TV is about the Penguin. I can't believe the best show on TV is some Batman spinoff with some C-list character.
Yeah.
And
historically, like the least liked of the Rogues Gallery.
Aside from like when we see him as Danny DeVito, right?
Yeah.
So I think people, one, it's reinventing the way people view comic book fare of, oh, the source material ultimately doesn't really matter. The genre of a show really doesn't matter. And then we've talked about this with animation too. Great storytelling is what matters. Great character-driven pieces is what matters. And when you see a show like this that is so compelling week after week, of course you are going to get people just clamoring about it. And because they are doing those weekly releases, we stay invested and we have time to tell our friends and family, you're not watching Penguin? Oh my gosh, what are you doing? You have to check this out. This is so good. I think ultimately it's just going to come down to making offers that Farrell and anyone who survives makes them want to do a season 2. And I think you're right. Once we have more of that Emmy talk coming in, once we have more of that critical acclaim coming in, which Farrell is thirsty for, who wouldn't be? I mean, I think that's going to really sweeten the deal for him and it's going to make him want to sign on. And the showrunner's right. This is just ripe for more stories. You can do so much in this world.
I mean, I'm glad she brought up this whole thing Gotham because one of the things that makes the Batman and Penguin work so well for me, I think this is my favorite on-screen iteration of the city of Gotham ever. I think it's the most true to the way the comics made me feel about Gotham. I don't think any other movie or TV show has ever made me feel like this is the most comic accurate interpretation of the city of Gotham. Now, I'm not saying Penguin, the show, is better than Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight overall. I'm not saying that. But just what I'm saying is, for the first time ever, this doesn't feel like a neat interpretation of Gotham. I feel like both the Batman and the Penguin, I feel like that is Gotham. Mm-hmm. I feel like it is Gotham. And that to me is what's adding so much to the DNA of the show, that these characters can thrive because the background of it is so perfect. And I just love the way they're doing it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Number one, again, for the umpteenth week in a row, every single episode of The Penguin, the viewership keeps getting higher and higher. And also now they're finally outwardly talking about the possibility of a season 2. Do you think it'll happen? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about a couple things, including a delightful surprise in a Quan trailer for a new movie of his called Love Hurts. We're going to talk about that. And the first reactions for Venom 3 have come out, and it seems like the standard response is some super enthusiastic, some not as enthusiastic, but all kind of saying, this is the best of the trilogy. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second, thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at the Dollar Shave Club. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Dollar Shave Club. Hello there, my fellow handsome gentlemen. Nice face you shaved there. Whether you're going smooth shaven or maintaining a beard, Dollar Shave Club offers shave and grooming products that are always high quality, but never overpriced. If you like to wet shave for that clean, close shave, they've got the Club Series 6 Blade Razor. A shave so comfy your skin will take a nap. 6 stainless steel blades for our closest and most comfortable shave, with a vitamin E infused lubricant strip for comfort and glide and precision trimmer for precise detailing. Their amazing shave butter, clear view, smooth glide, designed for precision. Shave butter is a translucent shaving cream alternative that allows you to see exactly where you're shaving. Bonus, it has long-lasting lubrication that helps soften whiskers for maximum glide and leaves your skin feeling hydrated. But don't take our word for it. Try it for yourself. You can visit their site right now for 20% off, $20 or more, and get your products delivered right to your door. Visit dollarshaveclub.com/Campea and use promo code Campea for 20% off, $20 or more. And remember, however you shave, Dollar Shave Club is here to help you stay handsome. And thank you to our friends at the Dollar Shave Club for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Quan re-burst onto the pop cultural scene in massive fashion with the Best Picture award-winning film Everything Everywhere All at Once, a movie I adore. And I loved him in it. He then popped up in Loki, that everybody likes seeing him in Loki. Well, now he has his first theatrical film lead in a movie called Love Hurts, an action comedy brought by, I think, what are they called? Studio 78?
I believe.
Or 78. It's a studio put together by the guys who did John Wick that is basically stunt people made a production company. And in that vein, a stunt coordinator is the director of this film. I think it's his first film. And it kind of feels like it. Anyway, the trailer of this thing is described as this. As seen in the trailer, Love Hurts tells the story of Marvin Gable, that's Quan, a realtor with a secret past. Though everyone in his life knows and loves him because he's such a nice and mild-mannered guy, he's hiding a secret. And when people from his past come back to haunt him, Marvin has to embrace his former life one more time and kick some ass. Listen to this lineup. Academy Award winner, Ariana DeBose, Sean Astin, Mustafa Sharik, or Shakir, I mean. And I'm like, watching the trailer, I'm like, is that? Yep, Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is in this. I love Marshawn Lynch. I always have. It's called 87 North, not 78.
Yeah.
It's 87 North is the name of the studio. Look, it says, like, this comes to us from the people who made Nobody. And it kind of feels like a Nobody. It feels like the exact same plot line, to be honest. A guy who was a lethal killer, now a mild-mannered whatever, brought back into the life of being badass again. All right. I watched this trailer, and two things stood out to me. Number one, if this was a drama, it doesn't look very good. Let's just call it what it is. The acting seems a little hammy in it. The story seems pretty third grader could write this. The other half of my brain is, but John, this is not a drama. This is an action, shoot 'em up, punch 'em up, just fun kind of thing. That's clearly what they're going for with Quan and Ariana DeBose and Marshawn Lynch. And while I will confess to anybody out there who looks at this as, this doesn't look like it's very well made, I concede that. I do. I concede that. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you I was grinning like an idiot from ear to ear every second this trailer played. Hiding is not living. I grinned like an idiot, especially when Sean Lynch did that running tackle on the other guy. I'm like, yeah. Or whenever he calls that jumping monkey, blah, 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 as he's going over the fence. I just about lost my mind. Quan is the man. I know this isn't going to win any Oscars, but I don't care. I'm going to be there opening day to watch this thing. I thought it looked like a lot of fun. Anyway, Chris, you saw the trailer for Love Hurts. What did you think about it?
Oh, I'm obsessed with this. I immediately messaged Logan this morning and was like, you have a new anticipated movie. And he was like, yes, I do. This is so up my alley. This looks so fun and cheesy and ridiculous. And I love that we are capitalizing on Ke Huy Quan as a stunt coordinator, someone with this incredible background who is just so likable and charming and so good at action.
Yeah.
He's so incredible. So I'm very, very excited about this. Rashawn Lynch is so freaking funny.
He is.
And I to the point of, I was watching his episode on Murderville. That was the first time I saw him act.
How funny was that? I didn't think anybody else even knew that show existed.
Oh, I love that show so much.
He is so good on that.
Is
so
Murderville
good.
the one where
It's Will Arnett.
yeah, and they kind of make it up as they go?
Yeah, it's rising around all of them. Their Christmas episode is incredible. I highly recommend everyone watch it. It's such a funny show. But watching that, it was, bro, I don't know why you did sports if you're so good at yes and. He's so freaking funny, and he delivers, at least in this trailer. So I'm thrilled to see him in the mix here. And having Sean Astin show up in this movie too is so exciting for me. A little Goonies reunion thrown in there. I think this just looks like fun popcorn fodder that is going to be just so delightful. Bring on the cheesiness, and I hope it gets just really weird and gory too. I hope it's just ridiculous fight scenes.
Let me bring this up too here. I was delighted. Also, Sean Astin, the Goonies reunion. I mean, that was beautiful to see. Ariana DeBose. This girl is an Academy Award winner. And I feel like she has not really been given. I mean, she was in that horrible movie with Henry Cavill, Argyle.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that movie sucked.
It's really bad.
It's so bad.
Subjectively pretty bad.
Sorry, Henry, but it was really, really bad.
I love everyone in it. I don't know what went wrong.
And like, she wins this Academy Award, and I feel like she hasn't really had that next movie, you know? And I don't think Love Hurts is going to be that next movie, but it makes my heart smile seeing her, like at least getting something. And I think that's, I don't care. I mean, again, is this going to win any Academy Awards? Is this going to get Ke Huy Quan his second Oscar? No, but I don't care. This to me just looks pure fun. And then, you know, I'm watching the trailer with Anne, and she said, what if they do tie, because you know, at the end of Argyle, they tried to tie it in with Kingsman. She's like, what if at the end of this, they do tie it into Nobody?
I'd love that.
I'm like, I'm totally down. A Nobody shared universe, which everybody thinks they should cross over the Nobody and the John Wick universe anyway, because they're so similar.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's the same people behind them, but whatever. Guys, question is for you. What did you think about the trailer for Love Hurts? I thought it was delightful. I can't wait to watch this. It looks like so much fun. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to the main event here, shall we? Venom, The Last Dance. I've got to be in the top 2% of people excited about this movie. I mean, there's not a lot of people out there who like the Venom movies. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. Because, you know, the first Venom movie came out and it got poo-pooed on by a lot of the critics. But the audiences loved it. And it was a massive success. I was one of the people that absolutely loved that movie. I love the first Venom movie. Now, then the second movie comes out, There Will Be Carnage. And I still had a good time with it. I didn't think it was nearly as good as the first one, but I still thought it was fun. I thought it was good. I enjoyed myself. Big smile on my face. And again, audiences seemed to like it more than the critics did. So I was kind of curious to see what the first reactions were going to be to Venom 3. Now remember, these are the same people who gave us all the warning that Madam Web was not good. Like, they saw Madam Web, like, yeah, this isn't it, everybody. So, and this is the next Sony movie. Again, a lot of these critics didn't like the other Venom films. So I was kind of expecting the first reactions for Venom 3 to be exactly that. Critics don't like it, but maybe the audiences will. Well, the first reactions for Venom 3 are surprisingly good. I mean, some more enthusiastic than others, but the vast majority of them all seem to say, this is the best of the three. Like, the people who like the other ones are saying, this is the best of the three. The people who don't like it are like, well, it is the best of the three of them, but that's not saying much. But they all seem to agree this seems to be the best of the three. Anyway, the Hollywood Reporter seemed to gather up a bunch of the reactions coming out of the screening, and they report this. Christian Killian wrote, Venom: The Last Dance is a wacky buddy road trip that stretches its PG-13 rating as far as it will possibly go. Simply put, Venom 3 is classic guilty pleasure cinema. Turn your brains off and let Venom snack on them. I like that. Joseph Deckmeyer writes, Venom: The Last Dance takes you on a wild and exhilarating journey from start to finish. It's a fun popcorn movie that reminds me of the early 2000s comic book movies. The action is great, and it is a tribute to action films from the 80s. There's a ton of funny moments. There are plot holes and some issues with the story. Yes. Is it fun? Also, yes. Ian Sandwell writes, Venom: The Last Dance is the most entertaining of the trilogy. It's largely a funny and sweet road trip with Eddie and Venom living their Thelma and Louise fugitive dreams, including a car karaoke and dog rescuing. Oh, dog, I'm down for that, dog rescuing. You might even find yourself getting emotional. Venom: The Last Dance. Next one says, Venom: The Last Dance is phenomenal. Laughs, maybe even a cry. Some fun surprises and confirmations. Tom Hardy is Venom. Bizarnage wrote, just got out of Venom: The Last Dance. Tom Hardy is absolutely at his best in this as Eddie Brock, and Venom with a great cast of characters including Juno Temple and Chiwetel Ejiofor and tons of symbiote goodness. This is not one to miss. Hollywood Handle writes, pardon me, Venom: The Last Dance might not be a great film overall, but it still manages to be the best of this trilogy that wasn't really able to accomplish a lot. Extremely fun sequences and Eddie's relationship with Venom still being a standout, a satisfying ending to this trilogy. Sean O'Connell wrote, I think Venom: The Last Dance is the best of the three. While still being incredibly bad, it's bizarre and watchable because it's willing to try anything. Symbiote fish? Sure. Mrs. Chen dance sequence? Why not? I laughed a few times, but this trilogy accomplished very little. That's one of the ones who's like, I don't like this movie, but it is the best one of the three. I'm like, and to me, I'm like, that's good enough.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Matt Ramos writes, pardon me, Venom isn't just fun. It's the best Venom movie by far. It's the funniest, most emotional, best story, and it takes the silliness we love and fully embraces it full force. They do a lot of cool symbiote stuff, and we couldn't have gotten a better ending to this trilogy that also sets up more. Sony cooked. All right. So anyway, there's more, by the way, that talks about how a lot of people saying they're very excited about Null now. Now, we talked the other day about how the director of this movie said this movie is just the start for Null, that they're actually just beginning to lay the groundwork for Null. But this is the last Venom movie, so how's that all going to work out? Who knows? Anyway, Chris, we do live in a world where the critics have not liked Venom, but the majority of the audiences have.
Yeah.
It's sounding like some of them are, those critics who didn't like the Venom movies are now begrudgingly kind of saying, there's some value here. But a lot of them are saying they actually really had a great time at it. I've got my tickets for Thursday.
Oh, nice.
You're not a particularly big Venom fan.
No, I am.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm thinking of somebody else. So what do you think about the responses you're getting? I'm kind of surprised personally, but how do you hear them?
I'm thrilled with this. I'm thrilled because, like you, the second one, I went, oh, this wasn't as fun as I hoped it would be, but hey, it's okay. I'm so happy about this one, and I love that the critics are begrudgingly being like, yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of weird stuff that happens, and if you're into that, cool. I'm so into it. Symbiote fish? Hell yeah, let's go. Mrs. Chen dancing? I'm thoroughly into that. This weird horse symbiote? Yes, I've loved every weird freaking thing they've posted about this movie. I want it to be so bananagrams. I want it to be so weird. And I love that it is. I'm so excited to see how they handle Null as well, because what an interesting and hard to adapt to screen character that is. There's so many pitfalls.
I still don't know how they're going to do it.
I'm really interested and confused, and I'm pumped about this. I love these movies. They're weird and kind of goofy and a little gross, and I love them.
There was one of the trailers that I think there's a scene in it that perfectly sums up the entire, like if you wanted to know, hey, I've never seen a Venom film yet, what's it like? I would say take this one clip from this trailer where they're sitting at the slot machine. Yes. And then they run out, and then all you hear is Venom's voice. Eddie, I need more money. And like, if you want to get an idea of what's the Venom films like, that's it. That scene right there. And if you don't like that, you probably won't like the movies. And if you do, I laugh my ass off. They probably are for you.
Yeah.
I am very sad this is going to be the last one. I get it, though. I get why. And I'm still very, very curious to see what they mean by this is just the beginning for Null. They're just laying the groundwork for Null. Like, so is Null going to be a big bad guy that Kraven is going to have to deal with? Some people are speculating it's that Null will then cross over into the MCU, but I have a difficult time seeing that. Is Madam Web going to come back and
sweet Jesus.
fight with Null? Morbius and Madam Web teaming up with Kraven? They're going to take on Null? I mean, I can't see
the movie that 5 people want.
Literally 5 people want.
And it's not even the actors.
It's not the actors.
It's not the actors.
Dakota's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So, I mean, Alex in the live chat saying Blade will fight Null. So that movie's coming in 2038.
Oof.
So yeah, but still, I think the trailers to this movie have been wonderful because it's been highlighting and leaning into the things that I have loved about this franchise. And I'm so ready for this movie. I'm so ready for Thursday to get here and go see this movie. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The first reactions are now out for Venom, and they sound, listen, far more positive than I thought they would be. Again, not everybody loves it, but at least they're all, even the ones that don't like it are saying, but it is the best of the 3. And like for somebody like me, I'm like, that's good enough for me. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to move on now to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another moment here and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with all that down, let's get over to the questions you guys have been sending in, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
The Vault says, did research on Transformers films, and apparently it was DreamWorks 1, Paramount 2 with handling the Transformers IP for films. Then somewhere after 2009, Paramount got full rights. Makes me wonder if DreamWorks would have handled 3, 4, 5 differently.
I still think Paramount was the ultimate distributor of the film on that one. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, now listen, those movies are going to turn out the way they turned out as long as Michael Bay was the guy direct them. They were just, that's how they were going to turn out. And listen, I am a defender of Michael Bay. There's a number of Michael Bay films. I will always be a Michael Bay fan if for no other reason than The Rock. And I love Armageddon. I don't care what anybody else says. I love Armageddon.
You don't want to close your eyes? You don't
I
want
don't
to
want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I love those movies, and I like the first Transformers movie he did. Granted, they all went to hell after that. I mean, they became some of the worst films I've ever seen. But yeah, they just would have turned out the same. All right, what's next?
Brent O'Connor says, remember last year Jason Momoa left a meeting with WB showing us how excited he was over good news. And we all thought it was for James Gunn's Lobo. I'm convinced now it was for his new Minecraft film.
Yeah.
He actually got a gift card to Starbucks. He was super excited about it.
Man.
Those
So
pumpkin spice lattes.
For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, like some time ago, I can't remember how long ago it was now, but Jason Momoa released a video of himself, like shot on his own camera, walking out of a meeting with James Gunn, Peter Safran, like the heads of DC Studios and all that kind of stuff. And he was like shaking. He was so excited. And like big grin is, yeah, like he was so excited and all that kind of stuff. And so that got everybody excited, like thinking he's going to be Lobo. I still think he is going to be Lobo.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll see. They're certainly taking their time. How bad does that Minecraft movie look?
What?
Oh my God, that looks so... Who talked Jason Momoa into... Who talked anybody into being in this film?
Jack Black.
Who talked Jack Black into being... Yeah, Jack Black's the one who talked them into doing it.
Because he's like, if I got to do this, you're coming with me.
I just... Who? Ah, God. That. But anyway, so here's hoping it's Lobo. All right, what's next?
All right, Brian O'Connor says, I know this is going to odd, especially since I love Henry Cavill, but he doesn't have enough real sex appeal to be Bond. He ain't sexy.
What?
I don't know. I've seen women pass out from him just building computers.
I got pregnant from that, Jonathan.
Oh, I just don't see convincingly bagging, and I got to read the rest of this. I just don't see him convincingly bagging any of the classical Bond women the way Craig or Elba or Aaron Taylor Johnson does for me. But that's because they do it behind closed doors, Brian.
Now, Brian...
You're not allowed to see that.
Brian, you're regular around here, film loving brother. So I say this with all due, like, you know, familial love.
Oh, this is gonna be bad.
Are you a fucking idiot? Like, are you being serious? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe you've never physically been around Henry Cavill. I have many. I've been talking to him and watched women walk by and almost fall down. It's what? Okay, sure. Chris, you want to respond?
What? Huh? Look at him. I don't know what else to say aside from like, look at him or listen to his voice in The Witcher. Sweet baby Jesus.
This picture was in the pandemic.
Yeah.
When Henry Cavill was building his own gaming PC.
Yeah.
And as Chris pointed out, millions of women just got instantly pregnant.
Yeah.
Just watching that video.
Some dudes did too. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just happens.
To say that Henry Cavill... Now, if you've got some concerns about his acting ability, I personally think he's a tremendous actor, but not everybody does. That's fine. That's something we could... But to say you don't think he has the sex appeal to carry James Bond, are you insane? What?
Now, I can understand there's kind of a different idea of what James Bond's appeal is, right? He's typically a suave, kind of like slim man. Historically, that's what we've had. But
yeah, that is one thing where it's like, you know, he's really bulky for that, but he could just, they can make it work.
yeah,
That's like saying, you know, that Sydney Sweeney could have an interesting movie career if she wasn't so flat-chested.
Yeah.
Maybe she'd have something. I don't know. I mean, that's an equivalent kind of note. Anyway. All right, what's next?
We got Dr. Stinky. Sorry to bring up height again, but you said you think he was more than 6'2". Dang, if that's true, that would put Ryan at like 6'3" or 4, which is insane. If you look at Ryan and 6'4" and half Conan, they look almost the same height. Sexy and tall. He has it all. Conan O'Brien's really tall.
Yeah, Conan is awkwardly massive.
yeah. Ryan is 6'2".
Ryan is listed as 6'2". Ryan is not 6'2".
Oh.
Ryan's taller than 6'2". Yeah, because I've stood up beside 6'2" guys who are a bit taller than me, and Ryan
6'2" in a shoe.
Yeah, he's taller than 6'2".
He's tall.
Yeah, I don't know where that listing came from, but he's a bit taller than 6'2". All right, what's next?
We got Brian O'Connor. The actor who plays Bond needs to be the kind of actor who can stand across from any Monica Bellucci type with ease. I was turned off of Cavill when he admitted he is not a fan of sex scenes. So Sorry, but my bond is not afraid of sex scenes. But there are no actual real like.
You do know
there
there's
really
no James
aren't
Bond,
sex
right?
scenes.
And you do know there's no real James Bond, and there's no real sex happening in the sex scenes in James
Like they
Bond.
kiss, and it's like you know what I mean. It fades to black.
Yeah, actors play things in people they aren't. If Henry Cavill was Bond, he would clearly do sex scenes. But yeah, that's not something you need to worry
I
about.
also don't understand the idea of you being turned off by an actor's boundary or a thing that they don't enjoy doing. Because that's a personal preference, and many actors have talked about this is very uncomfortable. Having to do any kind of romantic scene on camera is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, most actors don't like that.
That's why we also have things like intimacy coordinators who come in now to make sure everything is happening that's above board and that actors feel safe.
Yeah.
Because you are asking somebody to be incredibly vulnerable in front of an entire crew of people, and then
Pointing
in front of
cameras and lights
yeah,
at you.
and then in front of entire audiences. So I feel like that's a really just odd hot take of, well, if you're not willing to do a sex scene, I don't want you as James Bond.
Yeah.
You can do a lot without being completely.
I've never seen a graphic James Bond movie, so I don't know which movies he's watching where it's graphic sex.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, what's next?
Let's move on. Wade's Way says, I just watched for the very first time 310 to Yuma. Which one, the original or the remake? I will say, without hesitation, it's easily one of the best Westerns I've ever seen. Stellar cast, stellar acting, and stellar story. For everyone who has not seen it, I highly recommend.
I'm going to
Only
assume
seen
he's
the remake.
I'm going to assume he's talking about the remake.
Okay.
Which is incredible. Here's the thing that really stood out to me about the remake. It had two of the best actors on the planet at the time, Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. And this secondary character, Ben Foster,
He was the best part of it.
stole the movie from both of them.
Yeah.
Like first of all, Christian Bale's great in it. Russell Crowe is great in it. And then Ben Foster, who's acting alongside these two titans,
Yeah.
steals the movie from them.
Yeah. He was like Val Kilmer in Tombstone. He stole the movie.
Like,
Absolutely.
It is one of my favorite Westerns. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. It never got the popularity it deserves or the successor it deserves, but 310 to Yuma is wonderful. Go check it out if you get a chance.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, what's next? It says, hi, John. Are you still friends with Dennis Zen? If
Yes.
so, why hasn't he ever once appeared as a guest on TJCS? We're pretty isolated. He's very insightful, and your dynamic together on Movie Talk was always a highlight.
Yeah, we were actually just texting like 2 days ago.
Has he not been on the show?
He has been on the show.
That's what I thought.
But there are two factors that go into Dennis not being on the show often. Number one is that he lives in Hollywood, and for him to get out here is particularly troublesome for because we don't really do remote stuff here anymore. Like, you notice we don't Skype in guests and stuff like that, at least very, 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 very rarely. So that is kind of, now here's the bigger problem. Dennis has a job. Dennis has full-time gig, full-time work. So it's very, like, people ask me, John, we love Ann. Why isn't Ann on the show more? Ann is 55 feet that way right now. She's here in the house, but she can't be on my show because she has a job. She has work. So, yes, Dennis is a full-time working dude with a really cool gig. And we really don't Skype people in anyway. So anyway, that's why you don't see it. Actually, Dennis and I were talking about doing another show together. He and I had a serious conversation with a sponsor about doing a MMA show.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, we talked very, very seriously. Actually, I'm going to say this. We were reached out to. If I told you to think of 4 of the most famous sports media personalities, one of those guys in your list, they reached out to us and asked us if we would be interested in putting together a mixed martial arts show and doing it for them and their network. And Dennis and I talked about it, and we got my business guy involved in it, and ultimately it never ultimately came together. But Dennis and I have always talked about doing stuff like that. But yeah, as far as him just coming on The show, it's an incredibly difficult thing because we do this thing at 11 a.m. in the morning and people have jobs. So it's difficult. All right. What's
Driving
next?
from Hollywood, how terrible.
Try North Hollywood.
North Hollywood.
Joe Wakefield says, happy spooky season. Just out of curiosity, what is everyone's favorite Halloween movie? Please disregard the Michael Myers Halloween franchise. Well, John would anyway. I'm talking about other movies that take place or about Halloween. Thoughts?
Ooh.
I'll tell you one. It's going to be off. It's actually, as a kid, I had this ritual on Disney Channel. They would always play the back-to-back Mr. Toad's, not Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, but
Sleepy Hollow.
well, that and Sleepy Hollow back to back. It's actually it's on Disney Plus as well. And I just always remembered, like, I'd start watching, it was Mr. Toad, and then Wind in the Willow, I think, and then it went into Sleepy Hollow, and then it would end so spooky, and the book would close and the candlelight would go to a black. And every year I'd turn around and my parents and my sister had all gone to bed and the friggin' house was dark and I was freaked out and I had to run to my bedroom. So that always brings back that memory.
Everyone always kind of glosses over how messed up Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is, too.
I love that ride.
That ride where you go to hell.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, this
Warm
is great
on
for
a cold
kids.
day.
This is delightful.
I'm having a hard time thinking about what movies take place at or on Halloween that isn't called Halloween.
Yeah. At or on Halloween. Oh.
That's a good question. I just can't think of any. What was the one with the little kid that had like a pumpkin head?
Oh, Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Trick or Treat. I think
I
it
just
sucked.
liked part of it.
I think it was terrible.
I think it's really
I
silly.
thought it was fun and silly, but also
It's
I don't
silly,
like
but-
spooky stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's little Sam guy. What a patootie. Love
What
it.
a patootie.
Adorable. Oh, does Fright Night take place at Halloween?
Oh, that's a good question. I
Both
don't
the remake or the original?
I don't think it does, but
I know no one likes the remake. I love the remake. David Tennant kills it in that. He's
I'm sorry.
So good.
I think the remake is better than the
Oh,
original.
really? Okay.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
what?
love
I think
it.
the remake was
Which
better
was
than the
Fright
original.
Night?
It's
Is
the
that the one
one
with like
where
different vignettes?
Colin Farrell is as a vampire who moves
Oh
in.
yeah. No,
And wait
I'm
a second, isn't the guy who played Chekhov, Anton?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he
in
was
it. He's
in
the
that.
lead
That
in
was one of his last things.
Yeah.
I remember. I really enjoyed that movie. I did.
It's super fun.
All right, what's next?
We got Klaus Valka says, "Hi John team, you've previously expressed frustration with the state of Cineplex theaters today. I lived in Toronto all my life, so I have nothing to compare it to. I'm curious to know more of your thoughts. Wishing everyone a wonderful week."
You have to be more specific. Like more of my thoughts.
Well, they're a monopoly, so they abuse their position as a monopoly.
Yeah, the basic thing about, again, I grew up a huge fan of Cineplex theaters. I've spent unspeakable numbers of hours of my life growing up in Cineplex theaters. Some of my fondest memories of my life are in Cineplex theaters. It was my goal. If anybody from Cineplex is watching this, it was honestly my goal in life. When I was doing AMC, that was great. But my real goal was that once I create this successful thing for AMC, I want to move back to Canada, and then I want to do the same thing for Cineplex theaters. I want Cineplex to hire me, and it was my dream. That was my dream job, to go back and work for Cineplex. And then slowly over the years, as I would travel back to Canada once or twice a year, and then I obviously go to Cineplex theaters, really, they got worse and worse and worse. And they are a terrible company that I would now never go to if I had a choice. But the problem is they hold a monopoly. There are a few other choices, but basically you live anywhere in Canada and you want to go to the movies, you're stuck with going to a Cineplex Odeon theater. And they really treat their consumers horribly. And it breaks my heart because I just grew up idolizing that place. I love that place, and they seem pretty terrible now to me. So I really hope they do get things turned around there. All right, what's next?
Lexi Forbes says, "Hey John, do you think Ray Fiennes' Schindler's List should have won Best Supporting Actor over Tommy Lee Jones' Fugitive in the '94 Academy Awards?" Tommy would say, "I don't care."
I don't care.
I don't care. I'm gonna say let me put it this way. I'm fine that Tommy Lee Jones won. I mean, maybe I would have picked Rafe, but the reality is Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive was awesome. He was so good in that. So I have no issues with the fact that Tommy Lee Jones won because he was truly deserving. Like if Ray Fiennes won, awesome. But Tommy Lee Jones won it, and it was completely deserved as well. So I have no qualms with it. And it looks like, hey, Ray Fiennes may get his Oscar this year because everybody who has seen Conclave is right straight up raving about it. They say this movie is going to be in the race for a lot of acting Oscars. It's going to be in the race for Best Picture. I can't wait to see it. I've been hyped about this ever since they showed us a preview for it at CinemaCon. So this could be the year he gets his. All right, what's next?
You know what, real quick, one other Halloween one that always got me as a kid was Stephen King's Creep Show with the shorts. Every time it messed me
I
up.
don't remember that one.
Oh, man. Yeah, Creep Show. Okay, Eddie Burton says, this is a bit fanboy-esque, so I apologize in advance, but considering all the BTS stuff with rights and other things with both of these properties, which movie were you personally more surprised got made, Deadpool and Wolverine or Freddy versus Jason? Probably Deadpool and Wolverine because of the expense and who they had to get.
Yeah, I mean, but the interesting thing about Freddy versus Jason was like, I might not be remembering this correctly. This is the peril of doing shows live. I don't get to look this up first. I think those were in different studios. If I'm not mistaken, like I think the Friday the 13th movies were at one studio, and I think the Freddy movies were at another studio. So I think they had to kind of create a thing where they made an agreement where two different studios brought their properties together. The Deadpool and Wolverine, the only aspect of Deadpool and Wolverine that was a surprise was the fact that they did get Hugh Jackman to come out of retirement. Like everybody knew they were going to make a Deadpool 3. I mean, that wasn't a surprise. Getting Hugh Jackman to come out of retirement as Wolverine, but even that wasn't a tremendous surprise because Hugh and Ryan had spent years cultivating this faux online rivalry.
Yeah.
And keeping that whole thing going forever. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to say, because of all those reasons, I think Freddy versus Jason getting made was probably the bigger surprise. And what an unfortunate thing it was. Because I could, and do you know, they tried to make that movie originally was supposed to be Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Oh,
that's what they originally set it up as. That's what they were going for, but there was a rights issue or something. They couldn't make it work, so it just ended up being Freddy versus Jason.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Wickinator. John, I 1000% agree that the industry is killing itself. I was looking forward to watching Wolves in theater to just find it on Apple Plus. Actually, that's streaming's issue, though. Yeah. I work a lot of hours, and going to theaters is one of my few joys. They don't send Venom 3 straight to streaming. Hope they don't send.
No. They're already looking. That movie could make like $70 million opening weekend, so they're not sending that to streaming. You know, it's funny because Anna and I were talking about this the other day. We were on Apple TV Plus getting ready to watch Shrinking, and then there's Wolves. It's a nothing film now. Nobody cares about it. Nobody talks about it because instead of giving a George Clooney, Brad Pitt, directed by the guy who directed Spider-Man No Way Home, Far From Home, and Homecoming, and putting that, now I'm not saying that movie would have made $500 million at the box office. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it would have had a cultural imprint. It would have been an event. And when they decided to put on to streaming, now nobody even knows about it. Nobody talks about it. It's an irrelevant thing. It's a thing that George and Brad did, but it's an irrelevant thing. And that's unfortunate. It really is.
It's such a shame because it's so fun. I love that movie.
See, we didn't even watch it. We're like, if you can be like, we looked at it and thought, if you can be bothered to put this in theaters, then I don't have time to watch you. Yeah. And I just kind of but it is good.
I highly recommend it.
I'm glad
really
it is.
Enjoyable.
But yeah. All right. What's next?
Scooby Drool has a 3-parter. Hi, John and wonderful crew. I was absent last week because of New York Comic Con. Had a blast, went on a lot of panels, spent a lot of cash, felt broke, but had a great time. Almost 2 weeks ago, I asked you to compare directors Todd Phillips and Josh Trank on their recent movie failures. The chances these directors would lose directing gigs, and you told me it's like comparing apples to battleships, which you're right. Then it got me thinking, remember Gore Verbinski, where he directed the mega disaster, The Lone Ranger? Oh, man. That movie lost Walt Disney Company around $200 million. Since then, we haven't heard much from Mr. Verbinski. Do you think Todd Phillips will end up in director jail like Gore Verbinski after Joker 2?
No. I mean, listen, when you have a movie that's that much of a disaster, it will reduce the number of opportunities you have. But, and this is part you can't lose focus of, Joker 1 made them $1 billion and won Academy Awards and was nominated for Best Picture.
Yep.
And listen, no matter what they may tell you, studios love that.
Mm-hmm.
They love when their projects get nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. That means a great deal to them. So while you may look at the money lost from Joker 2, the money they made with Joker 1 far outweighs it. So if you take Joker 1 and Joker 2 together, that is a profitable franchise, as terrible as Joker 2 is. So, yeah, I mean, remember, you could have said the same thing about Todd Phillips after he made The Hangover 2 and 3. But, you know, the studio remembers, you're the one who made the original Hangover. And so then he makes another good film. And then maybe, I mean, look, what this tells me about Todd Phillips is don't let him make sequels. Todd Phillips shouldn't make sequels. Just make your original films and then move on. Because The Hangover, all-time classic. The first Joker, fabulous. But yeah, so will it reduce some of the opportunities he gets offered? Maybe. But I guarantee you right now, Todd Phillips's inbox is not lacking from offers right now. So now he makes 2 or 3 Joker 2s in a row. That changes. But yeah, he'll be okay. Todd Phillips will be okay. All right, what's next?
Okay, the True Dark Magician says, hi, John. Did you see The Simpsons 36th season premiere? It was their season finale. Of course, it was a fake, but it made me think, will The Simpsons ever end? The show employs hundreds and makes billions every year, so be allowed to end. So would it be allowed to end?
Yes, The Simpsons will end. I'm guessing it'll probably end sometime in the next 5 years.
He's saying like billions from merchandise or something? Like, how is it making billions? I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, overall, it's made billions.
Yeah, but not every year.
Not every year. But here's the thing. It still gets nominated for Emmys. It still has viewership.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch Simpsons much anymore. But I will confess, the odd time when I've just popped on the streamer and like, I'll watch a random episode of Simpsons I haven't seen. You still make me laugh.
I didn't grow up watching them. My parents
I
thought
grew up watching them, and they used to make me die of laughter.
My parents thought it was a little too like risque or something for me when I was little because I was very young when it came out.
I remember when I was in middle school, there was a band you couldn't have Bart Simpson shirts.
Really?
Yeah, because of the quotes like "Eat my shorts" and all that stuff.
Oh dang!
Yeah.
I finally for the first time watched a bunch of the Tree House of Horror shorts with Amy, and I had a blast. Those are so good. Those are so excellent.
You know, that reminds me, Gospel According to Bart Simpson. I'm going to see if I can find this. Yeah, it is there. I remember, like, that was a big thing because I traveled a lot in Christian circles and stuff like that. And, like, the big question going around is, like, should we let our kids, like, watch The Simpsons? And then this faith-based writer wrote this book called The Gospel According to The Simpsons. And it kind of made a case that there's actually some really good, like when you get past the wild, ridiculous veneer of The Simpsons, the argument of the book was there's some really good moral of the story stories being told in The Simpsons. There's actually some really good messaging in The Simpsons. And I remember this particular book made a bit of an impact on people. But look, you want to know how old Simpsons is?
It's older than me.
As a child, I remember going to the mailbox and getting the new TV guide. Remember those?
Mm-hmm.
And the cover of this, I'll never forget this. The cover of that TV guide was Bill Cosby and the quote, "I'm gonna kick Bart's butt," because The Simpsons had just been moved to Thursday nights which was the same night that the Cosby Show was playing. Chris doesn't even remember a TV Guide.
Well, even
Like,
before that,
That's the thing. And like, that's how long The Simpsons has been on.
I mean, it used to run as a short on the Tracy Ullman Show.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where
Yep.
it got started. So it was crazy. It was called The Simpsons Shorts. Yeah.
Somebody laughed at good old Bill. Whatever happened to him?
Not many here know the Tracy Ullman Show.
All right. What's next?
Supreme Leader says, what's it gonna take for the Academy to start seriously recognizing genres they currently don't? I will die on this hill that Toni Collette should have won the Oscar for Hereditary. It seems like they could draw in more people if they recognize more genres.
They should let me be very clear here. The Academy should never give a shit about what draws in more people.
Yeah, it's not about popularity.
That should never be a part of their consideration, ever. About other things you do with the show, sure. When it comes to voting for who you think is the best, what will bring in more audiences should be the farthest thing from their mind. That's how you corrupt something. That being said, I also was very surprised that Toni Collette wasn't nominated for Hereditary. Now, I'm on the fence about whether or not she should have won, but I absolutely believe she should have been nominated. But listen, here's the thing. One of the most brutal realities of the Oscars is that there are only, except for Best Picture, there's only 5 nominations. Out of the hundreds and hundreds of performances that are done that year, there's only 5. That's it. That means you can give the best performance of your lifetime. If there were 5 other people who did the same and you don't even get a nomination. Now, look, again, I was shocked when Toni Collette, but every year, there are people who are shocked that didn't get nominations. And it has nothing to do about the genre they're in. Like, that's just a made-up excuse, right? Every year, there are huge, great standout performances that don't get a nomination that had nothing to do with the genre. Because they could have been dramas or comedies or whatever. Like, so just because Toni Collette happened to be like in a horror film, that doesn't mean the genre of horror. That's why she didn't get the nomination. Nope. It just means the committee, the actors branch of the Academy, which, by the way, is made up of all actors, all of them SAG members. They're all actors. Like, that's the thing a lot of people got to remember about the Academy Awards is that the entire Academy doesn't come up with the nominees. The nominees are brought up by the individual branches. So the acting list of nominees comes from the actors branch, made up of actors. It's not the whole. So they put the nomination list together, and then the whole Academy votes on the nominees for the winner. But the nominees are brought up and created by the individual branches. The director's branch puts together the nomination list for the directors. The writer's branch puts together the nomination for the writers and all that kind of stuff. And then once they come up with the nominees, then the whole Academy votes. So Toni Collette not getting on the nomination list that year, which I am still stunned by, that was the actors that did that. That wasn't the Academy as a whole. So it really had nothing to do with the genre. It's just every single year. Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal, right? For Nightcrawler?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't get nominated that year, did he?
Which is bananas.
Bananas.
Yeah.
Bananas
So
that
good.
That
Jake
was one of my
Gyllenhaal
favorite
didn't get
movies
nominated for
that year.
Nightcrawler,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't a horror movie. You can't blame genre. It's just that
No.
that's just another example that sometimes there are incredible performances that don't get through.
I do think there's still like a stigma that kind of like peppers around that though. Because I mean, again, you look at The Penguin. Oh my gosh, the best show on TV is based on a comic
How
book.
crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it blows people's minds. And I think we have a tiny bit of that because like, I think Sean Astin should have been nominated for his work in Lord of the Rings for Return of the King. I absolutely think he should have. And it was like this huge deal that Ian McKellen got nominated for Gandalf, right? I think there's still a little bit of that. Wow, wasn't that interesting that a fantasy movie had some really good acting in it? I think people still have a little bit of that in their own personal bias.
Can you say that about a movie that literally holds the record for most Oscar wins?
For sure, but it still was one of these things of, oh my gosh, this fantasy film is incredible. Same thing kind of when we saw Dune. Oh my gosh, Dune is incredible and epic and all these things. And it's a science fiction film. Whoa. There's still a tiny bit of that bias, I think, that kind of sneaks its way in because we are so preconditioned to go, ooh, I need to nominate somebody who's in a film that's hard to watch.
I don't know. I
That's
think
my
that was-
personal thing.
I think that
Like
definitely
Joe Dirt.
did happen. I think
And that is hard to watch.
did exist. But in a world where Logan gets nominated for Best Screenplay, and where Black Panther gets nominated for Best Picture, and Joker gets nominated for Best Picture, and Joaquin Phoenix wins for Best Actor, and I just don't know that I believe that that's there anymore.
That's fair.
But
I think
maybe
it's still
for
there's a
some
little
people.
bit of the
I think
stink
it's
around.
I think it's still there, but it's not prevalent. It's like
Exactly.
now it's becoming more acceptable. You're right. That trend is more accepting now. So you're
Yeah,
right.
like I said, I think it was the case
Yeah,
at some point, but
and I think it's a minority of people now that have that.
Yeah, it's that snobbery of what is cinema kind of thing that is archaic and getting riddled out.
all right, what's next?
We got Raymond who says Lin-Manuel Miranda's concept album Warriors just dropped. Dude, I gotta check this out. It is based on the 80s youth gang movie. I'm not surprised if it gets a Broadway. It needs to. I'm gonna go with Robert Meyer Burnett. It's hip hop like Hamilton. 80s youth gang movies like Outsiders are coming back as musicals. Warriors.
Come out to play. Here's the funny thing. My buddy, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this.
Do it.
All right, I'm going to say it. Oh, I hope he doesn't get mad at me. But my buddy, who just made the new Hellboy movie, they were offered to make a remake of Warriors.
Oh, dip.
Yeah, the studio straight up offered them, we want to make a remake of Warriors, and they just couldn't get it together to make it happen. It ultimately never did happen, but they were looking at redoing the Warriors and making
That
another
makes
one. I
sense.
thought it would have been interesting,
Yeah.
honestly. All right, what's next?
Tron says, I don't want to hear about Blade getting another date until there's a director locked in. Well, they've had that. And there's a final script, and it's great. If Ollie walks, is that the most embarrassing thing that's happened to Marvel and Feige?
I mean, a movie losing one of its actors is a Tuesday in Hollywood.
Just happened.
But it
It's Tuesday.
may be the most, I mean, so to a lot of studios, it wouldn't be the most embarrassing thing, but to Marvel, that has never had that. Not really. That it might be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to Marvel. I mean, a lot of studios would look at that and say, that's nothing. But for Marvel, this crap doesn't happen. But it would be incredibly understandable. It's not like Mahershala Ali went, I don't want to be Blade anymore. You people suck. It's literally been 5 years of delays. So, I mean, I just think the whole project is the biggest embarrassment to Marvel right now. This thing that they literally brought Mahershala Ali on stage and said, we're doing a Blade movie. And then 5 years later, still nothing. The whole situation is the most embarrassing thing I think that's ever happened to them. All right, what's next?
CM Waters says Blade has been removed from Marvel's release calendar, not since Hershey's announced that their bars contain chocolate. Have I been so stunned by newsflash?
Yeah. Kel Supri, again, the movie, again, look, guys, the movie is supposed to come out November 7th. Like 1 year from now, the movie was supposed to come out. And they don't even have script. Like we all knew it was going to get pulled, but now it's official. It's not a good look. All right, what's next?
Dad Joke says theoretical or philosophical question: in a world of super beings like the MCU, how would things like professional sports function? People with super speed or strength would dominate. Would they not be allowed to compete? Would it destroy sports? I probably wouldn't be allowed to.
Yeah, I would
For
suspect,
safety of other players.
theoretically speaking, if we lived in a world of super beings, that super beings, because look, the whole spirit of sportsmanship is fair play. And like, you can't have somebody on, that's one of the things that always used to bother me about Smallville, was they try to pass it off like, no, it's still okay that Clark plays football. No, it's not. Or even in the new Superman and Lois show. Oh, my one little whiny brat boy wants to play football even though he's got Superman genes. Oh, okay. Go play football, you little scamp. That is horribly unfair.
I'm wearing Superman jeans right now.
No. So yeah, I would guess in today, if that was reality today, no, they would not be allowed to participate in those. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says the highest grossing movie to never be number one at the box office. Oppenheimer. Before that, it was Sing in 2016. For some reason, I had in my head that Oppenheimer was like the 800s, but it's like 976.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got super close to $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And there was never a single week that it overtook Barbie.
I'd have to look back
I would
on
think once
box
they got
office.
into week 5 and week 6 and week 7 that maybe Oppenheimer would have made more.
Yeah.
That's very well. Then again, by 5 weeks, 6 and 7, maybe it did pass Barbie, but it wasn't necessarily number one.
Now they got to get Barbie 2 releasing in July of 2026 when
The Tom Holland one comes out?
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, tried the new series Rivals with David Tennant, and I am a fan of a fan of his. But it's the worst trashy show I've ever watched, and yet I'm still binging it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not
I love
familiar
David
with
Tennant.
it.
So I binged this weekend too. So
What is it?
Rivals is based on a novel by Dame Jill Cooper, I believe, and it is about a television conglomerate, basically in 1986 England. A group leaves the BBC and starts their own thing, and it's kind of about the very
Is it based
posh.
on a true story?
No, it's a book.
Okay.
The very posh, very ridiculously rich and grotesque people who live there. It is my least favorite genre of show, which is assholes being assholes to other assholes. But man, I kept watching it because there would be a moment that was like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is 80s newsroom. I'm so compelled by this. Or, ooh, I really like this character. But so much of it is just bad people being bad people. It's 7 episodes. Each episode is about 45 minutes to an hour. It's on Hulu. Yeah, David Tennant's an absolute sleazebag in it. But there's like 3 characters you like, at least in my opinion.
Didn't you just kind of describe the penguin? Assholes
Little
and
bit.
assholes being assholes to
Assholes
other
being assholes to
assholes.
other
Yeah, but the
assholes,
difference is at least some of them die in Penguins. So
Yeah.
you get like,
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, last night, I love the movie Always Be My Maybe with Randall Park and Ali Wong. Ali Wong's got a new comedy special out. Anne watched it on the flight coming back from Paris and said like she was sure she was really disturbing everybody on the plane because she was laughing
they
so
almost
hard.
had to land early and remove
ma'am,
it.
are you all
like
right?
she was laughing. So last night, after I turned off the football game that was getting out of hand, she goes, "Okay, we're gonna watch the new Ali Wong. We're gonna watch the new Ali Wong special." I'm like, "Okay, I really like Ali Wong. I think she's very funny." Oh my God, have you seen the new Ali Wong special?
I haven't yet.
It is so funny.
Okay.
It's very crude. I mean,
That's my
extreme.
only
Yeah.
problem with, and I know a lot of people don't have an issue with it, and it's not that I have an issue with it per se, but it's like when I feel like after a while, some comedians just like lean on it because they got nothing else, and then it starts to become a distraction. And that's all
but
I'm
not
focusing
with
on.
her.
Yeah,
Like with her, first of all, she's now divorced, and it's her first comedy special since being divorced. And like, if it sucks when anybody gets divorced, but I mean, I remember when she won her Emmy. Remember this? Like the person she thanked was her ex. Like she spent time going on about he is the best father. He is still my best friend. He's my best support. He's been my biggest cheerleader. And like, I thought that was really like, if you're gonna get divorced, that sucks. But it was so kind of cool to see somebody up there like heaping praise on the person who supported them for 10 years and helped them get to where they are and like really lavish all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In the comedy special, she goes and talks a lot about, she goes, guys, I got divorced and like I was on sale. She was like, and she goes very into graphic detail about her sex life and everything after, but Anne was like, but there's one part you got to see, John. I'm like, okay. And she gets to this one part, and I'm just going to give you like one joke, but she goes, like, I've always traditionally dated Asian American men. She goes, but now I'm trying new things. But I dated this white guy. And she goes, I like to eat and I like to go out to restaurants, try new things. She goes, this guy, I dated him the first night at the house. I saw him eat for dinner a slice of pizza with a glass of milk and then had ice cream. And that's me. She goes like, have you been like sleeping with Ali Wong? I swear to God, baby, no, but that's me. Slice of pizza with a glass of milk and then followed up some ice cream. Boo. But if you get a chance to watch it, and if you don't mind the sexual humor, it's really good. The new Ali Wong comedy special is really, really good. You should check it out if you get a chance. All right, what's next?
All right. Anonymous says, what's your favorite Charles Dickens TV movie adaptation? Also, I'm surprised there has not been a new Tale of Two Cities movie TV adaptation. It's one of my favorite books. It's such a great story.
It's a tough one to do, though. Tale of Two Cities is very tough to do.
In what world does no one know my answer to this? It's Muppet Christmas Carol.
I knew Christmas Carol was in there.
Christmas Carol.
And then yes, of course it would be Muppet.
Because it's the best
Of course,
one.
that's the one.
It's so good, you guys. Oh, my friend got me a beautiful hand-painted poster of the Muppet Christmas Carol poster. I can't wait to put it in my
that's
house.
cool.
It's so stunning. Let everyone know what a fucking nerd I am.
All right, what's next?
Tristan Thorpe says, it's good to have friends who are excited for a movie that you aren't and will take you to see it and pay for your ticket.
It's good to have friends who will take you and pay for anything.
Yeah.
Dinner, movie, hockey game, whatever. Like, if you have friends in your life who sometimes just take you out and pay for it, those are friends worth having. Keep them around. All right, what's next?
Logan says, my crazy prediction, Henry Cavill is null. Both Null and Geralt have the same hair, so Cavill just needs his Witcher wig, and he's good to go. You know what? That's exactly how production looks at things. Like, he's got the wig.
I mean, I would love it if he was,
That'd
but
be
no.
cool, but-
So they say the word is Null's played by one of two people. Either Andy Serkis, who would totally make sense because he also directed the second Venom film, or Norman Reedus from
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Thank you. I keep freezing
Boondock
on the name of
Saints.
that show.
Oh, so good.
I'm going to guess it's probably Andy Serkis, but we'll find out. All right, what's next?
All right. Mega Red says, YouTuber Markiplier released a show on Amazon called Edge of Sleep. It's based on a narrative podcast he made. He plays the main character in both. The show is surprisingly good, better than expected for a YouTuber-run TV production. You should check it out. What do you say it's on? Amazon.
Never heard of
Interesting.
it, but listen, whenever you hear about somebody from YouTube then branching out, being able to do something else, that's always good to hear. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got some member questions here.
All right.
King Daddy Goat says, what would the crew like to see? Venom team up with Spider-Man for Spider-Man 4 or a street-level Daredevil Spider-Man story? I'm just curious. Probably Spider-Man and Daredevil because
Yeah.
I haven't seen it on screen.
If those are my options, yeah.
And I don't really want Venom being unless he's like anti-Venom.
I'll go Venom with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't see how, honestly, I don't see they would make something if they did Daredevil and Tom Holland Spider-Man, it would end up unsatisfying the audience because Daredevil would not be, they wouldn't let Daredevil be R-rated. They would make it, they would tone it down quite a bit. They're not going to bring Spider-Man, which is their cash cow with younger audiences and stuff like that. And I think it would just leave the audience unsatisfied. I would rather see Spider-Man and Venom.
That's the most likely
Yeah.
that you would see.
If you were getting that Andrew Garfield, I stopped pulling my punches Spider-Man, though, that'd be interesting to pair up with
Yeah.
Daredevil or Punisher or any of those guys who are like, no, beat the shit out of criminals.
All right, what's next?
Top Gun Manny says, speaking of advanced screenings, did you ever feel like the fun got taken out of watching a movie when you saw it weeks ahead of time while everyone caught up once it released? I would imagine watching it with regular audience more fun. It's like fun at first because you're like, ooh, I'm seeing this at the studio. This is cool. I get it. It's screen, and then it'll come out and you're like, I thought this has been out. And so I kind of get what he's saying. Like,
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I used to get a kick out of like, oh my God. Well, okay, first of all, I never did kind of lose the sense of awe of history when I'd walk onto
a lot.
Paramount's lot or Warner Brothers lot or Disney's lot or stuff like that. That was always kind of special. I admit that. But yeah, at first I kind of thought it was like, oh my God, I get to see this movie 2 weeks before anybody says, wee. And then you realize after you've done it for a little bit, it's like, it's really not a big deal. I'm just seeing the same movie everybody else is seeing. And then here's the part that really got me. A couple of years ago, I realized that the views I was getting on my out of theater reactions to movies I was watching a week and a half in advance compared to movies that I saw opening night with everybody else was the exact same number of views.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized, so I don't need to see this movie a week and a half or 2 weeks in advance to do an out of theater review and still have people watch it. And if I wait till the movie comes out, I just have to drive to my local theater. But if I want to see an advanced screening of it, I got to drive 45 minutes into Burbank or into Culver City or into Beverly Hills or something like that. It's like, I don't want to do that. And it's the same thing. Like when I used to do all the celebrity interviews, I used to go do all the interviews and people say, John, why did you stop doing that? Because it's boring. Yeah. At first you think it's really cool, but then you realize, no, this is just a pain in the ass. And so I stopped doing it. I started sending my underlings to go. I send people from the staff to say, you go interview that guy or whatever. It's not that I didn't think the guy they were interviewing wasn't cool. It's just that it's such a waste of my time to go take 2 hours out of my day, go to some Beverly Hills hotel, sit around there for an hour to get 3 minutes or 4 minutes with Robert Downey Jr. I've already talked to Robert Downey Jr. It just was such an odd thing, which is the thing that would make me laugh then. When I see these losers online go, oh, like whenever, you know what happens, the fucking losers, when somebody online likes a movie, that fucking loser wants that movie to be bad. They go, yo, you just said you liked it because you don't want, this is the magic word, because you don't want to lose your access. Nobody cares about access. Nobody cares. Yes, no. Only people who have never had access think access is some big valuable thing that's you just desperately need. So that's why about a year and a half ago, I literally wrote to all my studio reps and said, take me off your media list. I'm no longer going to go and do press junkets. I'm no longer going to go to press screenings. I'm no longer going to go to any of these things. Why? Because I don't need them. Access doesn't actually do anything for you. My out of theater reactions to movies I see on opening night Thursday get just as many, if not more views than the out of theater reactions I used to do a week and a half in advance. I don't care about going to press junkets. It doesn't actually get you anything. So I just said to those of you guys who watched the show know about a year and a half ago, I just stopped going to all of it. I mean, they still send me the invites, but I don't go to any of them anymore because it doesn't do anything for me. So I don't miss that at all. I mean, yeah, at first it was kind of cool and kind of fun, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did it, but I really didn't want to do it anymore. So no, I really do prefer just going to opening night on a Thursday night with everybody else and going to see my movies then. All right. What's next?
I like Sundays at 8 a.m. Jai CSC says, normally I wait until I'm done with a series before commenting on Only Murders in the Building, but I watched the first episode of season 3, Meryl Streep, The Street Monster.
It's a really good season.
Yeah, she's great on it.
She's great. And her and Bridesmaids girl.
Bridesmaids girl.
The girl from Bridesmaids.
Huh.
The
Melissa
biggest
McCarthy?
Melissa McCarthy.
Okay.
Was she in season 4?
She's in the latest
Season 3?
season.
Oh, she's in the latest
you're talking
season.
about season 3.
The one
Yeah.
before this.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm talking about season 4. Let's just say there's a fight scene and it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm liking season 4 a lot.
It's great.
Yeah, sorry.
It's
That's why I meant to
so
say season
fun,
4.
yeah.
Season 3 is also very good, but season 4 is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, we got time for one more. What's the last one today?
All right, Robuck says, hey gang, with Max's Harry Potter series going more in depth, maybe wonder if they'll be changing the style as far as the world of the Wizarding World or even the music. Do you think they should, or is it a good idea to rely on similar sets and costumes with the new retelling? Do we hear a John Williams score in this series?
Ooh,
I
good
think they
question, Rob.
definitely keep the aesthetic, because the aesthetic now permeates everything, right? It's in all the art.
Yep.
It's in even the Wizarding World at Universal Studios. Like
Yeah.
everything is there. The video games are now based on that same aesthetic and look. So I definitely feel they keep the same aesthetic and look. The big question is the score. Do they change the score from that Dun 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 that John Williams did that is so iconic with it now. I would normally say if you're doing a remake, remake it. New cast, new music, all that kind of stuff. But Chris, I think this is going to be one of those things that I think is maybe an exception. I'll totally get it if they want to change the music, and I don't think that's a bad decision. But I think if I'm an exec at Warner Brothers, I'm recommending keeping the John Williams score.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the music for that movie, it's the music of the entire movement. I don't know. What do you think?
It has brand identity wrapped into it. And if you are trying to create that synergy with your parks, with your movies, with your TV shows, all of that, you do want them to bleed into one another. So I feel like that'd be something that'd be a mainstay. It's kind of the same thing we had with Game of Thrones, honestly, with House of the Dragon, of everyone being like, what? I need my Game of Thrones music. I need to hear that. Dun, 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 dun. Like, I can understand why you would want to have this be the sound of Harry Potter. They have a little room for wiggling, but not much.
because it's a whole series, so they can have different like movements that they add to it.
Yes.
But I think the main theme should still be that. Yeah.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported us by doing so. And all of us involved with the channel, thank you guys so very much for your support. And hey, daily plug, in case there's any of you guys who also happen to be sports fans, we have another channel that we started up just a couple of weeks ago called Filthy Sports. And we go live at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Los Angeles time a little bit later this afternoon. So if you're into sports, you want to come by and hear us talk about sports, me, Ray, Jonathan, Ryan Myers will be in here doing so. Why don't you come on by and join us for that? Just go onto YouTube, search for Filthy Sports, and you should be able to find our new channel. Please go and subscribe to it and come on over and join us. So, for Jonathan Voico.
Hey, see you guys later.
Chris Carr.
Bye, guys.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.